Again, I work for the Pennsylvania State University. We have what's big about us is we're a large institution with 24 campuses all over the state of Pennsylvania. However, the campus that I work for is at the University Park location, which will come up on the slide in just a second. It looks like there's a delay. So Penn State's graduate school is one of the nation's largest graduate schools with over 10,000 graduate students enrolled at the University Park campus. We also have campuses at Penn State Erie, the Barron College, Penn State Great Valley, Penn State Harrisburg, and the College of Medicine. We have certain professional degree programs such as the Master's in Engineering, Master's in Agriculture, and Master's in Ed. They're also offered through our World Campus locations. If you've ever visited Penn State, this the home of the graduate school is located for all of those institutions, for all of those colleges. Even though we're spread across the state of Pennsylvania, Kern Graduate Building is the home of the graduate school. One moment, please. Okay, great, thank you. Just had some conferencing just to make sure we were technically sound because I couldn't get started. Again, so this is the home of the graduate school, Penn State Kern Graduate Building located at our University Park campus. So what does Penn State have to offer? Penn State has over 94 PhD programs, state-of-the-art facilities, competitive funding options, environments suitable for diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as a myriad of research opportunities. Just to give you a perspective of the scale of the community, last year we totaled over 14,000 graduate students enrolled across the university, with an increasing number who are working towards professional master's degrees as well as at our College of Medicine. The majority of our students, about 8,000 of the students, are in residence, and they are here at our University Park campus, which is located in the dead center of the State College, Pennsylvania. To give you a perspective, we have actually this has changed, we have over 128 graduate majors currently offered, 9 research doctorates, 8 professional doctorates, 112 research masters, and 93 professional masters. We have a large diversity of programs, including over 100 doctoral majors, with the majority of these in the PhD or research doctorate. And we would love to have a conversation, or I would love to have a conversation with you about where you might fit in this particular program at our institution. The success of Penn State is in its research programs or its research doctorate, right? And so in the fiscal year 2018, we totaled over $927 million in research funding. Now that is no small feat, and we have just reached the $1 billion mark as of this year. And that is with our NSF funding, NIH funding, university-wide funding. This is Penn State's capital, over $1 billion industry. This may be all on your screen. I think it went by too quick. If we take a look at sort of the breakdown, a lot of our funding is with sort of from funding agencies. You have the Department of Defense, Department of Health and Human Services, the National Science Foundation, and others, USDA, and the Department of Education, as well as NASA. I know that this conference is a large portion. They talk about sort of a white coat is waiting, or patients are waiting, and whatnot. But if you really think about sort of the crux of what drives this force behind medicine, it's altogether research. And Penn State has that and has much more, especially when you think about our expenditures and performing units in agricultural sciences, as well as defense-related research, earth and mineral sciences, the Everly College of Science, as well as engineering, health and human development, and information sciences and technology. Again, this is just a breakdown from the previous slide. We were showing over $927 million. And of course, these numbers have changed because we are now at the $1 billion mark. At a glance, Penn State has received over 158 inventions disclosures, as well as over 64 U.S. patents issued, 8 startup companies, and 31 licenses. The university breeds research and breeds talent. And we would love to showcase your talent as well as pour into you as individuals, having you in our research program. If you take a look at this slide, you'll see the number of spaces where there are conducted and research across the globe. And take it in. We have connections all throughout the world. And most of that research involves graduate students as well. And the key thing about our particular programs is that in a lot of cases, we will help support our graduate students with regards to travel to conferences, as well as travel to places where they need to conduct this research. So there's a limitless amount of opportunities in sort of this field of graduate education. And I know that sometimes we think about, in thinking about sort of medicine and then thinking about sort of graduate education, you think of it as this sort of alternative program. Well, it doesn't have to be thought about that way because there are opportunities to do both in some instances, if you may. There's a struggle in doing that, but there are opportunities to do so. Again, I like to bring this home and let you know that there's 94 PhD programs. We have state-of-the-art facilities, competitive funding options, as well as an environment suitable for diversity, equity, and inclusion, as well as multiple research experiences. And to sum that up, just to make sure you do understand where our graduate education, our graduate school is located, we have the 5 colleges where graduate education is located. And these are throughout the state of Pennsylvania. And that would be Penn State Erie, Penn State Barron, Penn State Great Valley, Penn State Harrisburg, Penn State College of Medicine, as well as our World Campus. Particularly at the University Park location, the STEM colleges are the College of Agriculture, College of Earth and Mineral Sciences, College of Engineering, College of Health and Human Development, Information Sciences and Technology, and the Everly College of Science. So you have multiple places where you can land should you consider Penn State for a graduate degree. And I like to tell people to think about it this way. Tell me what you want to do and we can find somewhere where you fit at Penn State, depending on where your interests lie. I mentioned earlier sort of our research institutes and where we fall with that. With regards to that, we have a national model for facilitating interdisciplinary, inter-college research and education among colleges and departments across the university. Penn State has a unique opportunity of having one of the largest complexes where research is done where there are no walls. And that's in our Millennium Science Complex, and you'll see that on one of the later slides. Penn State is among the best universities nationally in terms of the environment in which to conduct interdisciplinary research. Part of what helps us support and promote this area is our research institute, where sort of the interdisciplinary approach is sort of bred. Collaboration and education across the university is involved there as well. Here are some of our research institutes. We have the Huck Institute of the Life Sciences, the Institute of Cyber Science, Institute of Energy and the Environment, Materials Research Institute, Social Science Research Institute, Cancer Institute, as well as Clinical and Translational Science Institute. These are all under the auspices of the Vice President for Research. I mentioned that state-of-the-art sort of science complex that we host or have. This is our Millennium Science Complex. It hosts or holds our nanofabrication laboratory, and the cantilever support. If you look at the way the building is structured, it's structured to reduce vibrations in the underground lab located just in the garden in the picture to your right. We get tours of this particular building throughout the year, and if you ever would like to sort of come and see the building, we can arrange a tour for you. Other than that, I'll talk about an opportunity you might have to apply for our STEM Open House, which comes at the end of October, where we will be hosting scholars as part of a visitation sort of virtual weekend. More about Penn State research. We have defense-related research. The Department of Defense is one of the biggest sponsors for research at Penn State because we have specialized high-tech laboratories with major support from the Office of Naval Research. The laboratories, which include the Applied Research Laboratory here at Penn State and the Electro-Optics Center in the western part of the state outside of Pittsburgh, are important assets and provide opportunities for both undergraduate and graduate students to gain experience and be exposed to some of the most cutting-edge research in fields like artificial intelligence, acoustics, labor, and fiber optics. It is also a rich source of collaboration for and amongst colleagues. Been focused on sort of the STEM disciplines. We also have research centers and institutes. In addition to the university-wide cross-cutting research and institutes under the Vice President for Research, there are specialized institutes and centers in the arts and humanities within and in some cases between certain colleges. One here, but it is by no means a comprehensive list of it's only meant to give you a flavor for how much there is to offer here at Penn State in every broad discipline and interdisciplinary domains that can be imagined. And thinking about sort of, and not necessarily this alternative approach to sort of your goals and dreams and aspirations, just to make sure I give you sort of this resource-based understanding of where Penn State lies and how we support our graduate students. We do sponsor workshops and resources for our graduate students. We have grant writing workshops as well as a doctoral career exploration workshop. We work with our scholars on NSF graduate research fellowships, as well as we have the Graduate Writing Center, which will work with you on any sort of project that you wish to sort of submit for publication or submit for funding. And all of this, again, is at our University Park campus. We will partner with our sister campuses. We are one Penn State, so any student at Penn State has access to these resources. Beyond sort of the resources that we provide graduate students, and I wanted to recognize and celebrate the outstanding awards, including achievements in teaching, research, community, as well as through endowed awards that recognize their excellence in specialized areas of research and study, such as material science. If you take a look at this, not only do we cultivate our students and providing them with rich resources to sort of get them through this process, we also recognize our students. And a lot of these So now I'd like to tell you a little bit about our graduate research exhibition. It's an amazing showcase of spectacular breadth of research and creative accomplishments by our graduate students. It provides an opportunity for our graduate students to gain critical, transferable skills such as speaking to a general audience about their research and to network with graduate alumni who are invited to participate as judges in our research exhibition. So I've taken you through so far what Penn State has to offer with over 94 plus graduate degree programs. We've talked about sort of our billion-dollar research industry and where our graduate campuses are located. We've talked about sort of the support that we offer our graduate students, as well as how we highlight our graduate students. And now here I'm showing you where we showcase our graduate students and a number of the things that they are able to do on campus to showcase their research. Now, in thinking about all of that and about how large our programs are, how big our facilities are, people wonder, okay, so how does this work at the school? How do we pay for it? So we have a number of funding opportunities for our graduate students. There are teaching and research assistantships. There's the Budweiser Graduate Awards, funding for excellence in graduate recruitment. We also have the Graduate Fellowship, the National Science Foundation Awards. We are also at Alfred P. Sloan University Center for Exemplary Mentoring. We have the University Graduate Fellowship and the Distinguished Graduate Fellowship. Among all of these are some of them are specialized and some of them are not, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. One of the scholarships that is missing from this is an external scholarship that's funded by the National GEM Consortium. And if you haven't heard about the National GEM Consortium, it's a network of leading corporations, government laboratories, and top universities and top research institutions that enable qualified students from underrepresented communities to pursue graduate education in the applied science and engineering. If you don't choose Penn State, this is something that I tell scholars that they should look for if an institution is a part of the consortium, because it doesn't really take much to. I'll talk about this with eligibility, but it comes with a decent package, sometimes $10,000 for your towards graduate education, as well as it can be used as a top-up from some institutions for tuition as well as a stipend. In addition to that, they partner you with sort of GEM or government-based entities that will provide you with opportunities during the summer to work so that you can get sort of hands-on experience. To be eligible for GEM, waiting for the slide. These are the requirements from GEM. So you have to be a part of an underrepresented group. You should be a U.S. citizen. Applicants are strongly encouraged to take the GRE, but not necessarily required for the program. And they must apply to a minimum of 3 GEM member institutions. The deadline to apply is typically in January. It's pretty easy. I would tell you, just if you want to look this one up, you can look up GEM Consortium and go from there. It's a pretty easy process, but I encourage most people to do so if you're looking for sort of not necessarily free money, but sort of an easy grab. And it's not just for engineers. GEM scholar in the science in any of the STEM colleges. Additional information and requirements for masters. You must be a senior or graduate of an accredited engineering or computer science program at the time. You have to have a minimum GPA of 2.8. And for the PhD program, same, or you can be a graduate of any of what's considered a 3.0 GPA as well. So something that's really unique about Penn State is that we are a Sloan University Center of Exemplary Mentoring. And for us, that's a pretty big recognition from the Sloan Foundation. And we are one of the legacy institutions that's been a part of this sort of process for several years. What does that mean for our scholars? Our scholars, outside of this normal funding package that they have, they're able to apply to get a $40,000 top up. So I always tell my scholars it's like the equivalent of you having sort of a rich uncle who bequeath you this money. So it's $40,000 if you apply and are selected, that you can use for research over the course of your period of time at Penn State. So some of my scholars, for example, have used this money for computer equipment, to further their research or to look at the research in a different direction from what that research. They've used it to travel to different conferences, to present overseas. And in some cases, our scholars have used them for things that have everyday life expenses that they incur over the course of time. So for rent, for internet, especially in a COVID environment, buying sort of a strong or a faster laptop or a more powerful laptop to be used for their research at home as opposed to the institution. So that's unique in a sense to Penn State, and the scholars are able to apply for this particular scholarship. Other institutions that sort of mirror this scholarship are Georgia Tech, Cornell, Duke University, and a few others. To be eligible for Sloan, taking you through this funding process, but the Sloan Foundation sets certain requirements, and the qualifications for a protected class is African American, Hispanic American, or American Indian. The scholar must have a U.S. citizenship status and be fully accepted into a PhD program at a university center for exemplary mentoring approved by the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation. Okay. So I've taken you through a number of different things, and now we're going to move to sort of points of contact at Penn State in the space of diversity, equity, and inclusion with regards to recruitment and retention. And if you would like to, you can contact these individuals, and they will be more than happy to sort of meet with you or talk with you about sort of the programs that they have within their particular colleges. And feel free to send an email, feel free to call. We're in COVID, I know most people have sort of this functionality to receive calls on their computer or through other means. So that you were a participant in this particular program and that you attended a session with Dr. Preston, and they will gladly speak with you about graduate education at Penn State in a particular college. The first college that we're going to that I can tell you about is the College of Agricultural Sciences. So whereas my role is with the entire graduate school, and that's all 13 colleges across the graduate campuses, we have individuals within the graduate schools or the colleges that house graduate education at Penn State in the STEM disciplines. And for the College of Agricultural Sciences, it's Dr. Patrice Ingram and Mr. Derek James. So depending on your interests and depending on what you're looking to do in sort of the graduate education world or graduate research world, you may fall in a state, and the College of Agricultural Sciences can be one of them. Next up on the screen is the College of Earth and Mineral Sciences, where Dr. Victoria Sanchez and Mr. James Guyton are the multicultural leaders in that particular college. They'd be happy to have conversations with you about Earth and Mineral Sciences. And I think the next three will show some overlap. So if you have some interest in sort of engineering or anything that may cross multiple colleges, you definitely can reach out to all three of these individuals all three within the department as I'm going through them. In the College of Engineering, we have Dr. Tanya Peoples and Aaron Hostetler. Both of them run sort of their summer research programs as well. So if you're looking for opportunities to do research in sort of this engineering, biomedical sciences piece, this may be the college for you. The next slide showcases the College of Health and Human Development, which most closely mirrors sort of the biological sciences in some instances as it pertains to health. And Ms. Joyce Hobson-King and Tina Thomas are the multicultural leaders in that college. College of Information Science and Technology is Dr. Jason Gines, who is the Assistant Dean of the Office of Inclusion and Diversity Engagement. Finally, in the College of Science, we have Dr. Kristen Finch, who is the Associate Dean of the Office of Science and Diversity Initiatives. So what I can tell you about Penn State is I've just gone over 5 different colleges where science is held at the institution. So if you're coming from a smaller sort of liberal arts college into sort of this Research One entity, be sure to take a look at their website, because if you're interested in graduate education, your specific discipline or field may fall somewhere in between one of those sort of colleges. So take a look at our website and explore sort of your interest area before making a decision. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't say, be sure to take a look at our other colleges like the College of Medicine or Barron College or any of the other colleges where you might find a good fit match. So the big thing that Dr. Hamlin talked about when she invited me to sort of participate is to make sure I provided some information about our opportunities in visitation and summer research. And with that, I will tell you that Penn State has a number of research experiences for undergraduates. In my office sort of navigates and coordinates the Summer Research for Opportunities program, which is an 8-week summer experience where we bring students to campus. We pay their living. We provide them with a meal plan as well as provide a stipend each year. Not each year, for the summer. We provide a stipend for them throughout the process. Again, it's 8 weeks. It begins with sort of our orientation to the program and ends with the student presenting their preliminary findings from their research from the summer. And that's over a 2-day period, a symposium. What I can tell you about the experiences of our summer research program participants is that they've remained in contact with some of the researchers that they've worked with, and they've also been able to publish papers with them as well. And that is for those who are interested in sort of the medical field, who may come into this and start working on cancer research at Penn State and then decide to pursue the PhD. That includes some of our scholars who come in thinking that they were just going to be classroom teachers, and they got involved in sort of researching classroom experiences and understanding the thought process of students within a classroom and learning how to teach specific disciplines. There are a number of students who participated in our programs, and they thoroughly enjoyed it. And we stay in contact with them throughout the years through GroupMe and all sorts of other advancing sort of pieces that they have nowadays. And finally, our virtual STEM open house, our fall open house, will be held October 30th and the 31st. It typically would fall earlier in October, like the 12th or so. And that program is typically a 4-day process where students come up and they are able to speed network with faculty, staff, as well as our graduate students, and tour our research institutes. However, due to our sort of the situation with COVID-19 this year, the program will be virtually, and it will be held that Friday and the Saturday. It will still have the speed networking with faculty, but of course through Zoom or another platform. But then there'll also be virtual visits to sort of the Millennium Complex and other sort of research spaces at the institution. The big opportunity for our programs is that you get a chance to network with peers from across Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, California, wherever. We get a chance to work with scientists and engineers and our current graduate students. You also get to sort of interact with the Penn State community as a whole. I think it's telling when you are able to sort of have conversations with people of the community, the people at the institution, as well as professors, and they're all able to give you sort of the perspective you may need to make a decision. Any graduate school is a good fit for you. You also, like I mentioned earlier, tour state-of-the-art laboratories and STEM facilities. And normally, without COVID, all of this would be covered by Penn State, by my office, where we would host you for that 4-day weekend. So, attend graduate school at Penn State. There's research, innovation, discovery, knowledge creation. We'd like to help you help us change the world. Attending graduate school at Penn State and becoming trained as a researcher is a critical step that leads to discovery, innovation, and ultimately the creation of new knowledge that did not exist before, and makes an important contribution to your field of study. More importantly, it trains you to approach problems analytically and to base decisions on evidence and critical analysis, a way of thinking that will serve you immeasurably in both your professional and personal life, wherever life may take you, and whatever your career pathway may be. It literally will turn on your potential to positively changing the world. In my office, we always love to hear from new scholars with regards to questions, or even comments about things that might have been that are a little unclear. If you'd like to reach me or anyone, feel free to email us at ogee@psu.edu. And I welcome your questions.